Listen!
Hello, NVC listeners. A quick update from Tom here. So we had some technical difficulties. We're still adjusting to work from home stuff. So we originally planned this episode to just be a quick standalone one-off special to talk about the Nintendo Direct, which got revealed and shown in simple fashion like usual right after we announced or recorded this week's usual episode. We recorded the special, and then we found out afterwards that the old episode that we were going to use as our normal episode this week had technical issues that we didn't know about and is unusable. So we can't share that one with you, unfortunately. Please bear with us. We really appreciate you sticking with us through all this work from home stuff. But you can enjoy our extended conversation about this week's surprise Nintendo Mini Direct now, and then afterwards, at the end of the Direct talk, you can stick around for a segment with Bill Trinen discussing Animal Crossing. So that's a brand new thing that we're going to put in the end of this episode too. So this will be an episode for the week. Again, apologies that it's not the usual thing, but thank you so much. We really appreciate you sticking with us through all this. We hope you're safe and all that on your end as well, and enjoy the episode. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this very special mini episode of NVC, responding to the Mini Direct that just dropped today out of nowhere. So that's exciting. Yeah, mini in quotes, as Zach just did. I am your temporary host, Tom Marks. We're throwing this together kind of slapdash. It's going to be a shorter standalone episode just to respond to this Direct because we recorded yesterday's episode and then the Direct just dropped out of nowhere on Thursday morning, which is really
unbelievable.
But very typical, yeah.
I mean, it's not very typical though, right? Because like usually Nintendo the day before will at least tweet out like, "Hey, there's a Direct coming tomorrow," or like, "Hey, there's a Direct coming in 2 days." But this is kind of unprecedented for them to just be like, "Okay, here it is," and it's odd because
right.
Usually they count on that to like bring in a bunch of people to watch that premiere live. I honestly thought it was really strange this morning to wake up and see like, oh, Nintendo just dropped 30 new games. It was like, what?
Yeah,
like,
correct. As you can hear,
you could probably tell that I'm a little annoyed because usually,
real quick, as you can hear, Zach Ryan is joining us. Also chiming in right now is Brian Altano, but we're also joined, because Casey was busy today, by Seth Macy, long distance.
Hello.
So, welcome. Brian, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, I meant typical in that NVC recorded yesterday and news broke afterward.
Yeah, exactly. That's also
and if
true.
when you go and listen to the regular episode of NVC this week, you'll also hear us say hilarious things like, "I can't believe there's no Borderlands on Switch. That's crazy. Why would there not be Borderlands on Switch?" And then literally less than 24 hours later, Borderlands was announced on Switch. So you'll get things like that. We are going to dig into this, though. Let's just jump in. We're going to be going down our Roundup article, which you can find. You can actually go to this Roundup article on IGN.com to see all of the announcements, as well as a poll that's asking you what your favorite reveal was from the Nintendo Direct. So you can check that out. But let's start at the top with the Smash Bros. Announcement, which was kind of like a little bit of a half announcement, right? They announced that the first fighter in the second fighter pass is going to be an ARMS character arriving in June and revealed in June, but we don't know which character yet, and they need more time for the development.
Which who I bet it's Punch Man. I bet Punch Man is the character they choose.
What about the Fist Girl?
What I was going to say? What about the other one?
It might be Joey Fingers.
My theory was that they're leaving it open because it's going to be one of those things where, like the Koopalings, where every skin is a different character. And
it's probably going to be like ARMS Fighter or something, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But
that's cool.
I mean, everybody was really clamoring for more ARMS news, so it makes sense that this would come.
Be nice. People like the ARMS game.
This is a character I'm not really it's not a character I'm disappointed to see in Smash Bros. And it's one I kind of thought that they were going to do in the first Fighter Pass anyway. So
it certainly leads me to believe that they're really still thinking about making ARMS a franchise. You know what I mean? Like they said that development is still happening on ARMS 2. Well, maybe they didn't say ARMS 2, but they did hint that they're working on a sequel to ARMS, which
is
Legs. Shocking to me. Thank you, Seth. It was kind of shocking to me because I feel that game kind of came and went so fast.
It sold well, and I think it like stuck around for a little bit. But this news feels a few years too late. I'm with you guys on that. Like,
Yeah.
I think if they had announced this character, a few months after the launch, it would have made a little bit more sense. What is that?
I
Do you have a
assumed there
rattle?
was going to be an
Sorry,
arms character in the base game.
Protein shake. Sorry.
Got it.
I assumed that an arms character was going to be in the base game. I was surprised when there
Same,
wasn't.
It kind of seems like a no-brainer to put it like in the first round, but it seems very weird to put it here in this third round of characters.
Mm-hmm.
So
the cool thing is like they're coinciding this with allowing players to play the entire game for free for a little while, which is I think a smart move. It's basically a free Switch game that you can download immediately, and I think a free first-party Switch game temporarily, air quotes, but I think that's pretty awesome. Even if I didn't super get into that game.
Zach, I don't know about you as Mr. Smash Bros. Man right now, but like, I'm not like overly crazy or excited about the idea of like an ARMS character, but I am excited about the prospect of what an ARMS character as a Smash Bros. Fighter would be. Like, I think that character could be really
pretty
cool
fun
move.
to play.
Yeah. Like, even
I think that it would be like a nice medium distance character, like a lot of like good reach, like a lot of great recovery, probably. I'm interested as a fighting character. Like, I'm interested in it as a fighting game character. I just think it's a weird move in terms of like their overall oeuvre at this point. But because I kind of assumed that Nintendo would do ARMS and see the reception and then just be like, okay, well, we tried that once.
We're back briefly. We had small technical issues there, but we're back to talk now about Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. We got a release date for this, May 29th. They also just like showed off a bunch of the game. This was sort of their headliner. Aside from Pokemon, I think it's the thing they spent the most time on in this.
Yeah. I've said my piece about Xenoblade Chronicles on this show. I'm gonna just y'all go ahead and talk about this game. I'm good.
Well, who here has played it? Because I missed it back in the day.
I also missed it back in the day.
I played a bit.
Okay.
Yeah. You played the first one, Brian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you like? Did you like what you saw here in terms of remaster and definitive edition, whatever they want?
I mean, this is like, while I probably won't dive into this, this is obviously gigantic news for people who love this game. This is a highly beloved game that will take hundreds of hours to finish, and putting that on Switch is never bad news. Personally, it's not something I'm really intrigued about, but every time I've sort of been like, oh, who's even excited about this? Millions of people are like us. And so I will just say I'm happy for all of you who are happy for this game, even though it's not for me personally. Good luck and Godspeed, and I hope you enjoy your fun time with the video game coming this year.
Well, I will say I'm excited that we just have another mainline Switch game release date this year. Like, that's exciting to me. But beyond that, I'm excited because when I was asking about if I should start Xenoblade Chronicles 2 a million years ago, the thing I got from people was you should really play the first one first, but it's also not worth going. It's like it's more trouble than it's worth to go back to it because it's kind of an aged game. So seeing this as like looking pretty much just as good as Xenoblade Chronicles 2 now makes me want to be like, oh yeah, I can actually play this, which is really exciting.
Yeah, I think that graphically, like, the overhaul looks gorgeous. Like, the character models look really, really good. The environments look really good. I think that the one thing that I really liked about Chronicles 2, the 10-ish hours that I spent with it, was like, it's just insane to see that expansive sort of open world, those kinds of areas on the Switch. Like, no game does it anywhere near that good except for maybe Breath of the Wild. So like Brian said, I think it's really cool for fans of Xenoblade. I'm stoked that they get a chance to replay this.
One of the most exciting announcements for a lot of people, at least on IGN.com, according to our poll, was 2K games announced, or 2K announced that a bunch of their games are coming. So we're getting the BioShock collection, which is BioShock 1, 2, and Infinite. We're getting Borderlands Legendary Collection, and we're getting the XCOM 2 collection, but that's really just like it and its DLC.
Yep.
That's 3 series that are fantastic, all coming to Switch, and like also on May 29th. So this is like that's really cool. Like that just got all of this at once.
That's like huge support from 2K. My only concern here is that I hope that the BioShock collection that they're putting out for Switch has been retooled since it was released for Xbox and PS4. There was some like really serious issues with that collection, and even now, like my friend just replayed through BioShock 2, and she had like a bunch of glitches and issues and stuff in the BioShock collection. So I'm hoping that it's been ironed out before, or will be ironed out before it comes to the Switch.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't announce prices on any of these, right?
No, I don't believe so.
Yeah, because I mean, I just got the BioShock collection basically for free, air quotes, through PlayStation Plus a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about that is that it has all the DLC from 2, like Minerva's Den, and I think it's got all the DLC from everything basically, which is awesome. There's a lot of great stuff in there. But yeah, I hope it runs okay, and I hope it's priced modestly. These games are 7 and like 10, 12 years old at this point. So yeah, that said, I'm the guy that paid, I think, like $30 for Resident Evil 4 on Switch. So there's other people that these games are their Resident Evil 4. So yeah, I mean, I can't be a hypocrite there.
I'm surprised about Borderlands now, because that seems like it should have come out maybe when Switch first launched during the first year. Because I don't know, I played a lot of Borderlands, and they just put out that 4K like upgrade last year, and I put in another several hours of Borderlands and Borderlands 2. So it's exciting for to have Borderlands on the go, and hopefully it has some great multiplayer support, like 4 people can just sit around and just grind on Borderlands. But feels like a little too late.
Well, so many developers, or so many publishers at least, were like really hesitant in the first years of the Switch. They really didn't know which way it was going to go after the Wii U, and so this is essentially, in my eyes, 2K basically being like, all right, you know what, like, yeah, we should have done this, and here's everything at once.
Right.
Because if they were trying to be more precious about it, they wouldn't put them all on the same day.
Yeah,
also,
that is odd.
Just to shout it out, like XCOM 2 is still, like, XCOM 2 is aged, but even with the War of the Chosen expansion in there too, like it's still such a phenomenal tactics game. It is so good, and it's so exciting to have it on.
Yeah, I really think it's cool that 2K is supporting with like its heaviest hitters. I spent an obscene amount of time playing Borderlands 2 when it first came out, but skipped the Borderlands 2 remaster and the Handsome Jack collection. So like, honestly, watching the direct today, I was like, you know what? I think that Borderlands 2 would be a fun little game to kind of play through on the Switch and hook up with some of my pals across Discord or something and do it that way. I think it could be a nice little trip down memory lane. And now that I've beaten Fire Emblem 3 Houses, and I'm obviously a big time strategy boy, I'll be maybe thinking about dipping into XCOM, because everybody that I know that's played XCOM 2 says that it's like the definitive strategy experience. So
it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. I'll echo you guys that it's weird as hell that all these games are kind of dropping on the same day. I feel like that's going to sort of mess up their optics when it comes to them actually judging how well their titles are performing on Switch. Had they spaced them out, I think there are people that would have bought all 3 of these basically once a month. But dropping them all on the same day, I think a lot of people are going to choose one. And that's kind of a bummer, because then their takeaway will be like, oh, maybe we have to be sort of hesitant with how much we support this system. I have a feeling they'll still keep putting their games there. They're not going to really pull an EA, although we'll get into them later, I assume. But they, this is just a weird thing to do. I think there was a smarter way to trickle these things out.
Seth, I have one last Borderlands question for you as the Borderlands man. To people who have never played Borderlands, yes. To people who have never played the Borderlands series, who are thinking of buying this collection, do you think they need to play the first one before this?
No, not at all. But the first one's great. Yeah, the second one is like perfect. The second one is so amazing.
Second one has better characters. I feel like their powers are more balanced.
Like, I generally remember the second one basically just being the first one, but better in every way.
Yeah, the second one was like an event. Like me and my friends would like email each other and be like, "Okay, 7:00 tonight. Like, let's do this." And like,
Oh wow, email, huh? You guys remember email?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I still use those every now and then. I'll send one off to my Gramps.
I send everything through Dodo Post now.
Hey, Gramps, Borderlands at 7.
Another Seth Macy topic.
Oh, that's me.
We got a bunch of new details about Bravely Default 2.
Yeah.
As well as Zach is dancing, well as a demo is available right now, which, Seth, I believe you've played some of.
Yeah, I played about an hour so far.
What you thinking?
Look. The Bravely series is exactly the kind of game that appeals to everything that I like. Like, it has some pretty over the top sort of voice acting, which I love in its cheesiness. I know the story starts out like there's 4 crystals that have been removed and the world is in chaos. Like, oh wow, I've never heard a story like that in my life before. It has these cute little characters. It has a job system. It has a novel battle system. From what I've played so far, like, you should absolutely download it because it's beautiful. It looks like a little like a tilt shift watercolor painting, and it's absolutely delightful. I've spent an hour playing it. I maybe did about 10 minutes of the story, and then I've just been grinding, because grinding on a handheld system, grinding an RPG is absolutely beautiful. You can just do it right before you go to bed. I'm just gonna kill some goblins and whatnot, work on my skills and spells, and then I'm gonna go to sleep. And I love it. And it's I give this demo a 10. It's a masterpiece. That might be a little preemptive.
Grinding a demo is like an amazing.
I know, isn't it the stupidest thing? But that's what I'm doing. I'm like, well, I got to get my skills up. I don't want to, because I'm capturing video. I don't want to get losing to the boss and have everyone making fun of me. Like, who's this guy?
I'm in the same boat as Seth. Like, Bravely Default and Bravely Second, some of my favorite RPGs in the last decade or so, and it was really funny for me because, like, I'm so stoked for Bravely Default 2 that when I was watching the presentation today, I could see the same stuff that Seth is pointing out. Like, it's like, oh, that's not like the most original character, and like, oh, it's just the job system from Final Fantasy V, and like those things. And I felt like such a hypocrite because the stuff that I was knocking Xenoblade Chronicles for was the stuff that I was like celebrating in Bravely Default. Like, watching Xenoblade Chronicles, I was like, oh my god, this is like JRPG 101. But then watching Bravely Default 2, it was like, oh my god, this is JRPG 101. Like,
it's so familiar. I love it.
Yeah,
it's so like a warm blanket.
Yeah, exactly. I think that the art style and the job system and the fact that it's just like Square Enix is what does it for me. Like, I love these games, and I can't wait for this new one.
They feel like the actual follow-up to like Final Fantasy VI. Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, they're great, and then they sort of go off into the woods, and I don't like the new battle system at all. But this is turn-based, and you hit the R button, it goes, and you get all the extra bonus hits, and it's
what does it do?
It goes
like a transformer.
Yep, exactly.
I just wanted to hear that noise a bunch of times.
Also, I was wrong earlier when I said that Xenoblade Chronicles got the most time except for Pokemon. Bravely Default 2 actually got the most time in this direct.
Yeah, it was fair.
It's pretty cool to see Nintendo treating this like a big event. Obviously, there wasn't like a Zelda game in this direct, but like they gave it a lot of time here.
Also, the main protagonist's name is Seth.
Seth, that's right.
Seth.
It was like, join our hero Seth, and I was like, oh, my hero's name is Seth.
I wish I could name all my characters Zach.
Oh, come on!
But I don't think it supports that.
We are running short on time, so I'm going to move on a little quickly. Mm-hmm. We got a extended details on Pokemon Sword and Shield's expansion pass, specifically its first thing, the Isle of Armor. Weirdly enough, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this because there wasn't like a ton of revelatory stuff here. We already knew about the new legendary Pokemon Cub Fu, and they kind of we knew it would have different forms, and they basically just explained, like, there are these towers, and choose, depending on which one you go through, which dojo you go through, and which trials you go through, you get a different form of this Pokemon. Mm-hmm. And then otherwise, we didn't really hear, like there's, they showed off the new areas a little bit, and, like, they said there's going to be new items, there's new card backgrounds, that sort of thing, but, like, It was sort of like a low key, just like they felt like they needed to put Pokemon in here.
Yeah, I feel like it was kind of an odd choice for them to put. Usually, the last thing that they do is like a big, tent pole thing, like a reveal or like a nice little treat for Nintendo fans. I felt like, and I might be wrong in saying this, but I felt like a lot of this information wasn't necessarily super new information. I haven't been following Isle of Armor and Isle of, what was the other one? Swords? Isle of, what is it?
Dogs.
The Crown Tundra.
Yeah, Crown Tundra. I haven't been following the news on them super close because I kind of fell off Pokemon Sword and Shield towards the end. But
it wasn't.
I thought it was like
it wasn't like new. It like went into more detail about stuff we generally kind of had an idea.
Well, but that's the thing is like we already knew about like Kubfu and Urshifu and how like different choices will result in different powers and different like alignments and stuff. So like I wasn't, I don't know, like none of it really felt super new to me, and not new enough information or big enough information to be like the last big thing. But maybe, I don't know. I this is obviously a question for Casey because she might have been doing backflips over it. So
well, the last kind of major thing we heard of too, the biggest game I guess that got talked about was Animal Crossing. They detailed New Horizons' first seasonal event, which is, I think they call it officially Bunny Day, but it's basically Easter.
This non-denominational egg holiday.
Yeah, it's going to be going on between April 1st and April 12th, or if you time traveled, never? I don't know. You're screwed. But between April 1st and April 12th, they're going to be doing an event where you can find eggs hidden around your island and little holes, or when you fish even for some reason. There's a very creepy bunny on your island.
Called roe.
You can make, you can, what?
It's a fish eggs joke.
And
Gross.
you can make bunny things. How did this look? Because this is really exciting to me that this is coming in a week.
First of all, time travelers will be able to enjoy the party with everybody else. We'll just time travel to that day during that real day in real life, and we'll show up with tons of awesome future stuff that all of our friends will be jealous of, as is routine with our lives as intergalactic time-bending bandits.
Secondly, the game and yourself, Brian.
Yeah. Secondly, that rabbit is one of the most horrifying things I've ever seen on a screen.
It's really bad.
That is like there's a lot of the animals in that game are cute. That dude is like, what is that? Right? Can you guys back me up?
It's especially creepy.
I did not care for it. No.
Oh
it's
man,
especially creepy because it's like there are bunnies in the game. There are bunny villagers, and they do not look like that.
You know what it is? I think it's a real human adult man in a costume.
It looks like a suit.
I think it's like a mall rabbit.
It looks like a collectible you'd find in Fallout.
Yeah. Like overall, I'm stoked for seasonal events. Like I think that's like, I think it's a really cool excuse to jump back into Animal Crossing. Obviously, this one's coming out like hot on the heels of the release, but like those are the kinds of things that'll keep me coming back to Animal Crossing throughout the course of the next year.
Right.
I hated all the stuff that they showed, the
weird
egg table and the weird egg arch. I'm like, I'm not making any of that stuff. That looks
I'm trying to get like like pinball tables and
me
flat
too.
screen
I want
TV right
stuff.
now.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care. I don't want an egg bed.
Yeah.
You just use it for April, and then when the next thing comes around, you do a different one. Then there's an Earth Day event that they.
I'm not gonna do it. I'll go and I'm gonna try to hit the rabbit man with an axe, and then I'm gonna get out of there. But it's not like I'm sitting there playing Animal Crossing being like, man, yeah, I really wish there was more furniture in this game, maybe some egg stuff. Like there's so much to do in that game right now. There's so much to collect. I'm having the time of my life playing this game. This is like my favorite game in ages. It came at the perfect time. I'm glad they're doing these events. I don't care for this one. I want them. So what this game doesn't have at all right now, at least from what I can tell, is all the Nintendo themed furniture, which has been a huge part of my collection in the last few games. Which means that they'll probably do an event for it. But like back in the day, you could basically get, Samus's helmet. You could get a Triforce it animated. You could get all this Mario wallpaper tile set. Put a pipe in your room. Like Zach already has one, but. Gotcha. You know what I'm talking about. Big 420 boy over there.
Well, I'm slightly less. Oh no, I'm slightly less pessimistic than you guys probably. I thought it looked cool, at least in terms of laying the groundwork for an event. But
Yeah,
I think it'll be delightful. I think it'll be. I just
Yeah.
like to collect any garbage that comes along in that game. Yesterday, I bought an oil barrel. And
it's better than an egg bed.
it's an industrial 55-gallon drum of oil that I just keep in
Great.
my living room, and it'll go great next to my egg bed.
So those were the big things. Let's run off real fast because we're running out of time. Some of the other sort of major, smaller, you know what I mean, mini announcements. We'll go
Jumbo
with that
shrimp.
theme.
Sure.
Yeah. Star Wars Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy is available now. Is that exciting
Bought
to
that
any of you guys?
immediately.
It's
I
an
bought it.
awesome old game. You bought it already?
I bought it immediately because it says Star Wars on it, and I'm a consumer idiot.
This is, for those who don't know, this is a 17-year-old game that's now coming to Switch, which is pretty cool. It's a well-loved game. Another very
love it.
Star Wars game.
I think it's cool. Well, I did want to say, like, to Jedi Academy's point, like, I think it's really cool that they've brought those servers online for Switch and you can play online against people. I think that's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now it's all extended universe. No thanks. Only canon for this guy.
I mean, after the last movie, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that seems fine by me. Yeah.
More Star Wars. This one is really exciting to me. Is Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, the pod racing game, is coming to Switch.
Yes, I love Pod Racer, man.
Dude, this game is genuinely an amazing racer.
It's a great racer. Yeah, I'm wondering when they'll put the definitive Star Wars racer on the Switch, though. Super Bombad Racing.
That's a good one, yeah.
Oh, man. We also got an announcement for Clubhouse Games 51 Worldwide Classics. Which
did anyone feel bad for the announcer during that, where he was just like, he sounded physically exhausted by the end?
I know, he's like, oh, that's a lot of games.
Tennis, backgammon, public drinking, public urinating.
This one has gotten a weird amount of excitement. It's coming to Switch on June 5th, and I've seen a lot of people already be like, this is super exciting, because some of the games looked cool. Like, it's nice to just have. That was a tepid reaction here, but there's at least a couple people who are.
Well, I was going to email my Gramps about it.
Mm-hmm.
Gramps, let's play toy soccer, 7 p.m.
I dig the idea of being able to just randomly play Mancala on Switch, but maybe that's
I'll be
my
sleeping.
Here's one that is worth talking about a little more. Burnout Paradise Remastered is coming to Switch.
Yeah,
that kicks so much ass.
That's awesome, dude.
Great. It also is maybe a sign of EA coming around a little bit.
Hopefully,
this is all we want from them. We want them to dig through their catalog of classics and drag and drop to Switch. That's all we're asking for.
That's it.
That's all you gotta do.
That too.
You know,
just drag and drop.
Nintendo always does these like sizzle reels at the end where they just announce like they sneakily announce or show more of like 30 games right at the end. It's just this like rapid fire. Okay, let's wrap it up now. And there's always one or two things in those reels that makes me be like, yo. And today that was Burnout Paradise. Like that game is awesome, and it's so great that it's coming to Switch.
Another one, Catherine Full Body is arriving on July 7th.
Also very good.
Yeah, also a very good game. More adult than most of the ones that were in this direct, but it's one people have been asking for a little bit, which is really exciting. And also, hopefully, my hope is that it naively, I'm hoping it paves the way for Atlas to bring more stuff to the Switch.
Talking about Persona 5?
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I loved Catherine when it came out on the PlayStation 3. Is that when it first came out? Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of dodged it when it came out in the re-release because there's a lot of like weird controversial stuff in the new version. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this one. I want to replay it. I really like the story in the first go around, but the stuff that I've heard about the new version is like putting me off. So
the egg bed.
Yeah, all those egg beds. If you're curious, look it up. It's out there. So.
That's fair. There are a couple available now drops. Panzer Dragoon Remake and Shinsekai Into the Depths both dropped today.
I'm interested in reviews for Panzer Dragoon. Apparently, so Zach and I played it at Gamescom. Yep. Neither of us were really a big fan of it, but apparently they took a lot of criticism into consideration and went head down on development. That was 9 months ago at this point, 8 months ago. Right. Who knows? Time is irrelevant these days.
It's a flat circle.
And so that's sort of just like a surprise drop. If you're playing that and you're listening to the show, or watching the show, and you dig it or you don't dig it, let us know because I'm optimistic. I'm sort of interested in it.
I do feel like it's a bad sign though that there's no run up to the review or release or anything. Like I think it's not a great vote of confidence that they're like, let's just put it out after it's been talked about for so long.
Right.
Another random drop that also got announced today was an adorable looking game called Good Job, which I'm 100% going to buy because it looks like a Tom game.
Yep, and it looks really fun, and I've already seen a few people on Twitter like tweeting about it, saying like, "Hey, this game is great! Like, don't sleep on this game." So I'm gonna check that out, as well as the Bravely Default demo tonight. There was also pull myself away from Animal Crossing.
Also, an announcement. I was running through these. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Ring Fit Adventure update is coming later today. That adds a rhythm game mode that basically looks like Beat Saber, but with the ring, which is kind of awesome. I know like Janet Garcia on staff is really excited for this. Very cool that they're just adding this sort of like pretty significant new mode to Ring Fit just suddenly.
It's too bad you can't get Ring Fit anywhere, but then again, you also can't get Nintendo Switch anywhere right now either.
Yeah, it's true. Switch is sold out everywhere.
Yeah, even the Switch Lite. I'm not saying like, even the old Switch Lite. I mean, it's just like
it's
even the bad one.
It's crazy how much this like shelter in place stuff has made Ring Fit popular. Like it really has blown up because of it.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you wanted to play Ring Fit on the Switch Lite, you'd have to buy Joy-Cons and then play it on a tiny screen. It's just exercise is difficult though. So this is
Hot take,
Ultimate Alliance 3, the Black Order got expansion pack details that showed off Fantastic Four. Are you booing Fantastic Four?
I was doing exercise.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, we just kind of got like there were mostly smaller things, and we're running out of time. So I really wanted to ask, kind of how did you guys feel about this generally? And then one of the questions we got a couple times in this quick Facebook post I posted about it, but like, did this feel like a significant enough thing? Do you think Nintendo's waiting for E3 for like sort of their 2020 lineup sort of stuff? Like, kind of general thoughts to close it out.
I saw a lot of people on social today being like pretty disappointed in the Direct or saying that it was like a bad Direct, but I thought it was great. Like
I didn't even know we were getting one. How could you be disappointed?
Yeah, well, I think people like have come to anticipate or expect that Nintendo Directs will have like these major reveals, but like they've been doing these sort of deep dive insight Directs for a while, and I think we got a closer look at Xenoblade and Bravely Default and some new stuff for Ring Fit and what was the other game they did a deep dive into? It doesn't matter. I thought, like this is a solid like 7 out of 10 Direct for me. I really liked it, regardless of whether or not I was annoyed by the way it was announced.
I couldn't believe it this morning when everyone was like, "Oh my god, dude, Borderlands on Switch!" And I was like, "What is this insanity that everyone's talking about? Surely that's the only thing that was announced today." And then they're like, "No, there's this whole surprise Direct." And instantly, when I heard there was a surprise Direct, I was like, "Oh man, they just dropped the Metroid Prime trilogy."
Oh,
and that was a little disappointing. But you know what? Life is disappointing.
That would be the ultimate shelter-in-place gift from Nintendo. Is if they dropped the Metroid Prime trilogy. I would drop Animal Crossing for it and play through the first one so fast.
Like, same.
Yep.
And they did a great job setting expectations low, right, with no announcement and saying mini, so that then it was like actually kind of a nice little surprise. Whereas if they had been like, "There's going to be a 30-minute Direct tomorrow," like probably this would have been a little disappointing. But like that's not what they did.
Yeah, that said, I do kind of like when we know about these things ahead of time because we get excited for them. And also like I have my whole routine where I'll like wake up and make a pot of coffee and sit down like it's Christmas morning. So this was like a nice little birthday present for me. But at the same time, I was kind of like, I wish there was more to it. But then I also didn't know it existed. So I can't be upset that a thing I didn't know about let me down because it all happened so fast.
Yeah. That's fair.
That's about how I felt.
What do you think? Yeah,
I really enjoyed it. If they had been hyping it up, I probably would have been a little disappointed. But as it is now, this was a nice little taste, and they hadn't talked in a while, so this was nice. Just update of like, hey, there's still some cool stuff coming out this year. That said, I am craving that big Direct or that big kind of announcement of like what else they have happening in 2020. But that'll come eventually. So we'll see.
I think that'll come during that E3 timeframe. I think we'll find out what they're. Because everything they talked about today was all May. So like beyond May, it's still a question mark. And I think that we'll see stuff, dropping out of that E3 time window that is like, okay, here's what we're doing for the rest of the year and beyond. So,
I'm so excited.
Well, guys, thank you very much for joining us rapidly and randomly. We hope you guys enjoyed this very special little mini episode of NVC. like we said, we have a normal episode this week that does not acknowledge the existence of a direct at all because we did not know about it. But be sure to check that out. Be sure to check out Vote in Our Poll on IGN.com, all that sort of stuff. And remember, this is the only place where you can very unexpectedly
get that thing.
Get the thing. Boo exercise.
Happy birthday, Brian, and thank you, Ray.
Happy birthday, Brian.
Boo exercise.
Brian, it's your birthday.
Hey everyone, Casey DeFreitas here with a special segment of Nintendo Voice Chat, IGN's Nintendo podcast. I'm joined today by Brian Altano.
Hey.
Zach Ryan.
Hey.
And Bill Trinen from Nintendo of America, our very special guest, who is here to talk about Animal Crossing. He is the senior product marketing manager of Nintendo and also a professional translator who has interpreted for Shigeru Miyamoto, and he previously worked in Nintendo's game localization division. We're super excited to have you. Thank you so much for joining us to talk about Animal Crossing. Let's start it off. I know everyone here has been able to play a little bit of Animal Crossing New Horizons. Yeah. Mm-hmm. How long has everyone been able to play in real life time and also in-game days?
Oh, okay. Let me think. In-game days, I've played 7, 8, 9 days. 9 days. Today will be day 10. In real life hours, I think I'm like over 25 hours at this point. I've been playing it pretty slow and methodically. I respect that Animal Crossing allows you to you can play for an hour and a half and feel like you've accomplished a lot and then come back to it later if you want, or finish up for the day. So yeah, I've been taking a pretty, I would say, traditional approach.
What about you, Brian?
Am I allowed to say this?
Well, Zach just said it, so.
No, but Zach didn't say like an illegal answer.
Brian's been doing crimes.
I've been doing a little bit of time traveling.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the official company stance is on that, Bill, but it's there. I've heard that if you admit a crime over like a video chat, it doesn't count. So we're good. So I think I'm on day 38.
Oh my goodness.
And I think I've played about 35, maybe 40 hours of the game. Probably about 3 or 4 hours a day since it came out.
Oh wow.
Or
what about you, Bill?
No, since I got it, yeah.
Since you got it. So the way that I play, number one, I'm a traditionalist, so I don't cheat.
So that's what you feel about time traveling. It's cheating.
Yeah, it's time crimes.
Yeah, it is. Animal Crossing is there's 24 hours in a day, and just like I can't skip ahead in real life, I really can't skip ahead in Animal Crossing either.
I'm so embarrassed right now.
The way that I play is usually I'll play a bit in the morning, and then kind of exhaust whatever it is I think I need to do in the morning, and then I'll come back in the afternoon. And a lot of times you'll see, that some of the resources and things are kind of replenished after you've been away for a while. So I usually try to get like 2 play segments in over the course of a day. I don't know how many days I've played at this point, but usually if I'm putting in, somewhere between 1 and 2 hours a day, I would say I'm probably maybe approaching 30 hours at this point.
Okay.
We have access to it internally, from a testing standpoint and things like that. So I've been playing around with it for quite a while.
So I've also I've been mostly playing it slowly and not been doing time traveling, but I've actually time traveled in the past so I could get some daylight. So I've been doing some minor cheating. So not necessarily skipping ahead, but skipping backwards, because I was playing at night every day for a few days, and it's like I haven't seen any daylight, so I haven't been able to see any of the wildlife that comes around or critters that come around during the day. So I would skip back to 10 a.m. and
if I may, I would like to take this opportunity to apologize to Nintendo of America on behalf of my time criming colleagues. They in no way represent the way that I personally like to play Animal Crossing. So
I just want to say that if you go back 6 hours or you go ahead one day, you still have to go see the same judge when you go to jail. So really, it doesn't matter. We're all criminals. Gosh. You'll get there.
I do like the phrase "time crime" though. That's
Thank you.
Time crime critters. So Bill, so in previous Animal Crossings, we were punished for time traveling or turning off our game before saving in manner of Rossetti. I haven't seen Rossetti in Animal Crossing New Horizons. How do I make him come back and yell? I want to be yelled at.
Well, of course, with the way that the Switch system works, there really isn't a way to reset, because even if you hit the power button, it just goes into sleep mode, and then you just resume from where you were. So he's out of a job, kind of?
No, Rossetti, how could you do this?
That doesn't mean that you'll never see him, but certainly he does not have the same role that he once did. I think that's probably best for his health, though, because he did get really worked up whenever that happened.
He seems
Yeah, I was gonna
wound
say
pretty
he's probably like meditating more now, and taking long walks. He's probably like doing super well.
Yeah, I hear he's hanging out at Brian's childhood home back in New York. So, I mean, wasn't he like your neighbor when you were growing up?
I grew up with like 200 people that talked and looked exactly like Mr. Rossetti. Most of them lived in the sewers
too.
Nice,
Brian. Oh.
Well, Bill's character.
Bill, what does your character look like in Animal Crossing right now?
So my character he's got kind of basically the default hairstyles. I have not customized his hair yet. But one of the things that I always do with Animal Crossing is me being an Oregon Ducks fan. I always deck my town out with yellow tulips and yellow lilies. I've got a great big yellow O kind of at the entrance to my town from the airport. And I happen to be wearing a yellow and green number 10 basketball jersey, and as well as some shorts. I'm still trying to find like a pair of high tops, because I'm trying to go for this kind of dual vibe where it's like the Oregon Ducks plus like Seattle grunge. So I really need the 10 jersey being reminiscent of Pearl Jam, and then if I can get some high tops going, I'll have it all down. And maybe at some point I'll let my hair grow out. So.
Dude, I got you covered on high tops. I spent like 50,000 bells on high tops the other day. I went into the store and got all of them in every color, and then put a bunch on my wall and put a bunch more in my storage.
Yeah, Brian's been sending me like almost daily updates of what his room and what his house looks like. And at one point, it literally just looked like a shoe shop. It was just like all these rows of shoes. I was like, oh, okay.
I'm honestly so jealous of your decorating and your town and your house. Brian, honestly, guys, I'm so bad at decorating. I don't know what to do. What is your method? Do you just collect all of the things you think you might want in the future and then decorate? Or do you only buy things you know will match your aesthetic that you're going for?
The secret is time crimes. No, it's the thing is that's weird about this game is that I like in real life I like to wear like leather jackets and jeans and high tops, but this game hypothetically takes place like on an island, and so I see like people walking around in shorts and stuff. Like if you look at Bill's background right now, it's like most of those guys are like they're hanging out wearing dresses, sundresses, and shorts and sandals and stuff. But I'm like running around with a leather jacket, so I think I'd be hot. But no, my whole thing is symmetry and making sure that basically everything in each room has sort of like a symmetrical side to it, where there's something on each side that's kind of parallel that represents each other, and then decking it out with rare stuff. I wanted to ask you, Bill, about the HHA,
mm-hmm.
the Happy Home Academy. Now, I got a message from them yesterday saying that an item in my house was facing against the wall instead of the room, and I got dinged points for it. When did those people come into my home? What's up? Who are these people? When do they get in there?
Well, if you have other players playing on your island, you'll notice that even if they're not home, you can walk into their house. So I think it's really on you, Brian, because you failed to lock your door.
It's like that's what they do in Canada, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so people can come in and rate their decorations and their hockey sticks.
Yep.
That's right.
No, so Casey, my technique is always just like craft a bunch of stuff, which is super fun in this game. Symmetry, and also try to make sure the wallpaper and the rug and the furniture all sort of like coexist thematically in some way. And I don't really like having those like kind of hodgepodge rooms where
half the things are metal and half the things are made of straw. It just looks like a mess. I don't judge if that's what you do.
Appreciate it. I'm still using a cardboard box as a table, so I have no
Really?
opinion. Yes.
Well, I mean, we're all working from home now. We're all working from home now, so it's very similar. Zach was actually showing me his bedroom in real life and his setup now, and I was like, "That's very Animal Crossing. Like, you have like a random chair, and then like, you're using a foam roller as a seat. Like,
perfect."
Bill, I kind of wanted to ask you more of a legacy question about Animal Crossing. I think when you look at Nintendo's pantheon of characters in games, you get a lot of like action and exploration and platforming, and Animal Crossing is so different from all the other Nintendo games. What do you think is it specifically about Animal Crossing that has garnered such attention and made it such a big hit with fans of Nintendo and like people, because like my entire Twitter timeline, gamers or not, are talking about Animal Crossing releasing tomorrow. And so like, what do you think, how do you explain that sort of universal appeal?
It's interesting. In Japan, they kind of describe Animal Crossing as being what in Japan they talk about as the slow life. It originally, it started off where you were in this little kind of town, and it was very reminiscent of sort of countryside in Japan. You're fishing, you're catching bugs, those sorts of things. And they're, really, when you think about Animal Crossing, not much happens in the game in terms of events or excitement or drama. And so really, I think what people really like about Animal Crossing is the fact that it is so different. It is, in Japan, they call it slow life. Here, for us, we really talk about it as being kind of your ultimate personal escape. It's literally is the place that you can go to get away from whatever else is going on. And you can it gives you the power to create that world that is your ideal world. And like I talk about how I always go in there and I make all the characters say "Go Ducks," and I like put up the town flag with all of those icons. I can customize that town the way that I want. But obviously Brian is customizing completely differently from I am. But both of us are going to be imminently happy with the results of the work that we're doing in this town. Or on this island. And I think that that's really what it is. It's like, this is my space and I can go in there and I can be happy in it. And I don't have to worry about anything else that's going on when I'm in this space.
I think that's really interesting. Like, so many games that I play, I consider them such a form of escapism, and like mapping out my room in Animal Crossing, building out, in New Horizons, as I started to get more stuff and like place it around that initial house that I had in just the one room. I was thinking like, oh yeah, this is looking really good. I really feel great about how this is all coming together. And then I just realized that I had just recreated my bedroom. Like it was the exact same layout as my bedroom. And I was like, well, okay, I guess I could be a little more original here, but.
Well, there's a reason that you made your bedroom like that, right? Maybe you just think that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, it's like that's what I gravitate towards, and I sort of unconsciously, recreated my own space. Like, yeah, I thought that was cool.
That's what I love about it. It's like it's honestly like you can start out with one room like that, and it'll be like your own house. But if I had a room in my house that was just like a bunch of shoes on the wall, like I'd probably, I don't know, I think I'd live alone. Like everything would collapse around me. But I can do that in the game. Whereas, in real life, it's like everything has to have a sort of functionality to it. But in Animal Crossing, it can be all form. You can have a room that is just for fun and just create a whole theme room, which you'd have to have like a mansion to be able to do that in real life.
Right.
Yeah.
Honestly, the
Someday.
Animal Crossing New Horizons Nintendo Direct had me sold to abandon my life as I know it and go like live in a tent out in a tropical island. So I can't actually do that in real life, but at least we can do it in Animal Crossing.
That's right. Slowly. And you're not relegated to a tent for forever, but it is a nice way to start.
You can get a multi-room house, which and you can own it with a 0 interest loan, which that'll just never happen here.
Yeah, that's
right?
100% escapism. So yeah,
it is. And in fact, I do need to point out, I do think Tom Nook gets a bad rap when you consider what he's doing for society with these 0 interest loans. Really is as good of a raccoon as I think we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Bill,
I honestly think he's like turned things around this game a lot too. He's really working hard. Like
he seems like he's on our side.
He is. He is. I respect the man.
Bill, can you tell us, where does Tom Nook get all of his money to loan to us in the first place?
Me.
From you?
No, it's, he seems like just a humble kind of independent businessman, but obviously he is the head of a major conglomerate that is able to take on new initiatives like this. So he must have streams of bells coming in through other channels as well.
Millions of nooks crannies all over the world. Every island. Guys, what are your... Oh, what were you going to say, Zach?
Go ahead, Casey.
Oh, I was just going to ask, what are your favorite changes in New Horizons compared to the previous Animal Crossing games?
Oh, wow. That's a really good question. I mean, obviously there's some subtle things. One of the most subtle, and Brian's probably noticed this, but with the way that you're able to lay out objects in the house, it used to be that you had to move it like a full square, and they've now given you smaller increments that you're able to move things, and actually kind of gives you a bit more control over how you're laying things out in your house, which for somebody who's like super into decorating the house, I think is going to be a nice addition for people. But for me, actually one of the things that I've found really nice has been the addition of Nook Miles, because sometimes, you'll get in and you'll be playing, and in past games, you might do sort of the basic routine that you might have within Animal Crossing. Then you'll think, oh, okay, well, what am I going to do now? And Nook Miles has been really nice because it gives you, some little small objectives of things that you can do that you get little rewards for, and then you can turn those in, the miles in, and get some pretty cool objects that you can place around the island, or, you can enhance the hairstyles and things that you have access to. So that for me has just been, I think, one of my favorite elements. Of course,
yeah,
the bigger one is going to end up being the degree to which you're able to customize the island outdoors, both in terms of placing the furniture outdoors as well as in terms of actually changing the terrain.
Yeah. I was also going to mention Nook Miles because I think Nook Miles highlights a sort of a bigger thing for me in the game in general, is like how all the systems feed into each other. And Nook Miles illustrates that so easily in that you have all these micro objectives that you're completing that add to the greater overall, there are milestones for, catching 100 fish, catching 1,000 fish, etc. But you're constantly filling those out through Nook Miles. And I think in that same way, as I'm building out an orchard or clearing spaces for houses, I'm seeing other parts of my town where it's oh, when I finally have the ability to terraform, I'm going to knock this down, or I'm going to build something here, and the way that all those systems interact with each other, I think is so brilliant. And Animal Crossing has always been good at that, but in New Horizons, I think it's just a step above where it's been previously.
I'm also very happy to hear that we can move everything around the town when we want to at a later point, because I would have so much anxiety choosing where to put everything in the beginning if I knew it was permanent. So I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, I specifically remember running from the ocean to Nookingtons in the GameCube version 100 times because they were so far away. And in this game, I can sort of move them around. I don't have to worry about any of it being permanently in place. Yeah, I want to say the Nook Miles thing. I think you guys totally nailed it. It does a really good job of getting me out of my routine and my comfort zone. Whereas I might run into the game every day, shake some trees, go to the store, see what's available, and not really think to hit rocks or anything like that, or dig up stuff. And the game goes, oh, well, if you hit 5 rocks, we'll give you 200 points. And then you can go use those. And I find myself doing tons of those things every day just to stack up points. And you can even trade them in for bells and stuff like that, which is a quick, easy way to make money. And that it completely adds to what would normally just be a routine of my day to day to now being something that gets me to explore every corner of the island.
So in the way that I was thinking about it too is it reminds me of some of my favorite games on mobile where you're doing daily challenges and stuff. And I think it's really interesting because I feel 4 or 5 years ago when I started playing mobile games more frequently, there was so much that reminded me of oh, this is something that they probably learned from Animal Crossing. And now I feel Animal Crossing has learned a lot from Pocket Camp and maybe other mobile games. Do you know if there's any sort of in development, was that part of the discussion? Oh, these games, this sort of cyclical objectives, did that come up at all? Do you know?
I wouldn't say that it came up with from the perspective of actively trying to bring in elements from the mobile into into New Horizons.
Mhm.
But obviously, Nogami-san and Kyogok-san are both very involved in both Pocket Camp as well as New Horizons. And I think what they looked at really was less of trying to apply elements from the mobile version, and more they're just looking at what are some of the things that we've seen that is resonating with people, or elements that we particularly liked that we thought we could take and evolve in a console version of the Animal Crossing series. And those are the ones that they've picked up to bring in. And I think it's really just about always continually looking at different ways to engage with players, and even, the Nook Miles point is one where, Animal Crossing for some people was a game for a long time that, they're like, oh, well, I don't know what to do, or I don't know what my goal is. And so Nook Miles really becomes something that helps guide those players through the game. But it's still totally optional. So for people who love to play Animal Crossing the way that they always have, they'll be able to do that, whether or not, regardless of whether or not they're worried about those Nook Miles goals.
What about
Bill? I want to. You were going to say, Zach?
You go ahead.
No, Bill. I was going to ask you. I know you haven't been in localization in a while, but you're obviously very, very well versed in it. And this is a game with thousands of lines of dialogue, and a lot of it is feels sort of like specific to the language that you're speaking in. There's a lot of sort of colloquialisms and slang and stuff like that. What's the process of bringing all of that text over for a global audience? It's like, how do you translate jokes and slang and stuff like that?
So many puns. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So many puns.
Well, yeah. And then, and on top of that, what becomes an even bigger part of the job for the localization team is that when you're looking at even just the character animations, where they'll be in the middle of dialogue and then they're reacting, and you'll see them emote in some way, or their animation changes. Even within the localization process, as they're writing the text, are having to then place the animations within the context of the localized text. So it is a very, there's a lot that goes into it, both in terms of, obviously from a pun perspective, there's puns that just don't translate. And then a lot of times what you'll see is within the Japanese text, if there's a joke or a pun within the Japanese text, then what they'll do is they'll flag that, and then the translators and writers will work together to make sure that there's appropriately a pun in the English text as well. And then that'll get cascaded out across French and Spanish and all of the other languages. But there are, of course, nuances to all the different languages and all the different regions. And it's, I think, at least, when I was in localization, it was always one of the most fun projects to work on, because you do have so much leeway and so much impact in terms of how you're bringing those characters to life, both in text, but also with the use of the animations as well.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much. And I know we are kind of running out of time for this segment, but I do have one last kind of goofy question. Maybe if you guys have another question after. But outside of Isabelle, Tom Nook, and KK Slider, who is the best Animal Crossing villager and or visitor?
Oh, wow. That is a tough question.
Yeah, we ask the hard-hitting questions here at IGN.
This is, yeah. And it's a difficult one for me to answer, because obviously I don't want to have any real favoritism for any one character over another. They're all like my little kids, but I would probably have to say Gulliver is probably one of my favorites. Just because I find him to be a very hilarious character, and when I help him out, he always sends me great gifts. So how could you not like him?
It's a good choice.
He's great in this game too.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he really is.
His phone keeps like exploding every 5 days.
And he's got so many sailor puns.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Do
Awesome.
we have time for one more question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
So I think in the way that the Switch is like such a runaway success, like there are so many more people that are coming to Nintendo now or returning to Nintendo after an absence, that I think we saw at IGN, a lot of people playing their first Zelda game, their first Mario game in maybe ever, but definitely in a very long time. People that are coming to Animal Crossing for the first time, what advice do you give them where to start? Because like it can be a little daunting, just the openness of the game.
Well, that's one of the other things that I think this game has done really well is that the opening and the beginning of the game, I feel, does a really good job of kind of easing you into both the island life, the things that you need to do, learning what you can do, so that it doesn't feel too overwhelming of you're just stepping out into this world where you don't know what to do next or you don't know what to focus on. And so that I think has been a big improvement. But overall, I mean, to me, if this is your first ever Animal Crossing game, my number one piece of advice is just sit back, relax, right? Take your time, escape from everything that's going on, and just really have fun in your own little island paradise, because that's really what it's all about. It's just about building your space and having it be the space that you love. Share it with people. I'm expecting to get requests from all of you to have me come visit your island so I can go check them out and hopefully steal some high tops from Brian.
Send out those friend codes, man. Let's do it.
But it's, it really is just don't stress about it, because this is the most stress-free game you could imagine.
Yeah.
It is. Zero consequences. You just never pay. You just live in your first tent the whole time and just not pay. Don't do that.
Fine.
But
Bill, I have one last very, very quick question. What's the best KK Slider song?
That is easy. There's only one answer to that, and that is KK Cruisin'.
Yep.
Oh man,
we're gonna have to play that
I
right
still
here.
haven't found it yet. There it is. It's the best.
We'll find it.
That is my favorite song. Yeah.
It's the best one. I still haven't unlocked it. I've been checking every day.
No,
Yeah.
Half the reason I time travel.
Looking for specific KK songs.
Yeah.
Art should be paid for. Good music should be paid for.
Should.
Support
You're right.
your local
Exactly.
independent musicians.
You're not wrong.
That's right. And KK is possibly one of the most influential musicians in the history of music, given all of the genres that he's worked in.
Definitely the most diverse. I mean, he's covered it all.
That's right.
Bill, thank you so much for joining us. Do you have any last comments about Animal Crossing New Horizons?
No, other than I just can't wait to get back to my island.
Perfect. I expect to see at least some screenshots of your island so we can throw them in so people can see them. So guys,
you
yes,
will.
please. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. We hope everyone at home is enjoying Animal Crossing New Horizons today, right now, because it is out. And remember, you can watch the full episode of NVC Nintendo Voice Chat every Thursday at 3 p.m. on IGN.com and YouTube and your favorite podcasting platform. Again, thank you so much for watching, and remember, this is the only place you can
Get the thing.